Welcome, everyone. I'm Jason with the All Things Open community. We're here with Ben. Please introduce yourself to our community.
Sure. Thanks, Jason. My name's Ben Heller. During my day life, I work at Google Cloud, specifically within the consulting group for transformational generative AI projects. Some examples you may have seen could be like the NBC Olympics Ollie chatbot, where consumers all across the globe wanted to ask questions around who's competing or what's the latest medal count. And that chatbot that was actually created by the consulting team I work with.
That's pretty cool. Leading off with that, what's exciting about the future of AI?
I think the future of AI is exciting because of how many things we're going to be able to do without actually doing all the tedious things to get those accomplished. So I think we're going to see for the first time one-person startup companies, especially when we get into this. Google's kind of coining the agentic era happening right now, where if we get into this agentic world, can you have a CFO, a CIO, and kind of have a C-level group of agents that can function as your leadership group, and then you are kind of the pulling the strings behind the scenes. So I think we're in a world where that actually seems feasible, which is pretty amazing.
Boardroom in the cloud. Okay, I'm in. Well, as much as excitement around AI, there's a lot of challenges. Can you talk about some of those?
Yeah, there definitely are some challenges, especially with how many people. I think one of the challenges is because it's so mainstream right now, it just goes kind of that like scale, I would say, of how many people. I actually break it down into, because it's so mainstream, you have so many different users now. And so the users used to be, there used to be a barrier to entry to being a user. You need to know how to code. You need to know how to even interpret code potentially, maybe look at data. Maybe you don't need how to code, but you can evaluate like Excel or Google Sheets. And it's gotten completely democratized into, if you can speak English or speak any language, you can now use these things. So I think the challenge is actually the part of the benefit, is that because you have more people using it, more people are going to come up with more challenges of what data should I be using, what use cases should I even go after, as well as trusting the answers of this. A lot of things we talk about is like ethical AI. Maybe the AI could do this, but should it do it? So example I like to use is, like, could we have a doctor that uses AI to recommend prescription drugs? Yes, that technology is very much capable to do that. Should we have that? That's a decision.
That's a question. That's a societal question, exactly. Thanks for shedding some light on that. So for someone that's brand new to AI, how do they get started, or how did you get started in AI?
So I got started maybe not through the typical path through AI. So I came from the business sales world. Is this a local?
This is Global Pod. This is all over the globe, baby.
Okay, great. So for the folks that aren't aware of SaaS, people in Raleigh are very aware of SaaS. It's SAS, not SaaS. That's where I started. So I went to a sales development program in my university. They recruited me into SAS, into their sales training program. And so I went from there into, that was my gateway into what analytics is. And I was selling analytics and being an account manager. But I got some really good advice from, it was a lady that was at SAS for 30 years. And she said the best way that she realized to make sure that she was always valuable was to get closer to technology, especially at a technology company. So that resonated with me. So then I went, at that time SAS made a partnership with Microsoft Azure, so we had free certifications. So got trained in Microsoft Azure, got the certified pieces, went and got my master's from Columbia University in applied analytics, and then transferred over to Google, where then I got more certifications, and then that kind of opened me up into this whole Gen AI, technical AI world. So it's been kind of happenstance, but I knew just keep getting closer to technology, and that's how I've slowly traversed from business into, I would say, this quasi-business AI world.
Well, I get to talk to a lot of folks like this, and your story is very similar. There's no direct route to AI.
That's
it's very
right.
organic. I love it. Well, let's talk about use case decisioning. Can you describe what that is to me?
Use case decisioning, the context I would give for it is kind of similar to the challenges. Is one, Gen AI is so mainstream, and it's coming down from the boardroom. So completely top down of people, CIOs saying, I need to use Gen AI, and not having any sort of direction, just saying, find me Gen AI usage. They want to either from a branding perspective, from a career perspective, they want their name tied to Gen AI. And we saw a lot of this last year as well. So that obviously gives a ton of influx of everyone coming up with ideas on how we can use generative AI. And then you also have the bottom up. So you have everyone that's now getting access to generative AI saying, I have these cool ideas. Here's this like pot or bucket of all these Gen AI use cases. I think these would be really, really valuable for the company. So the challenge that you have is now with all these great ideas and also this executive pressure to kind of perform on these ideas, where do you start? And so I spent a lot of my time on use case decisioning, which is prioritizing which use cases are valuable to the business, are low-hanging fruit, have data feasibility. Sometimes people want to evaluate, is this going to actually be beneficial for like the world versus just my customers? And so thinking through these decisioning gateways, I would say, is kind of getting you into some sort of plot of, okay, I went 1,000 use cases. On this plot, I have 100 of them that are actually really valuable, and we have data. And then of those 100, maybe there's 10 of them that we actually have the resources available to fund. So now we went from 1,000 to 10 use cases, and then we have this backlog of use cases that we work on. But that work is actually a lot of upfront work that needs to happen. A lot of times we get asked, can we just like provide like a statement of work right away? And the answer is like, yeah, we can do projects, but there's this saying of move slow to move fast, and that's very true in this stage of taking the time to design and do the discovery and the prioritization up front actually allows you to build this factory model on the back end, because now you're proving out value. Your organization is also learning how to build these things. It's new to a lot of people. And so as you build this muscle of building Gen AI projects, then you can move faster on that backlog. So that's use case decisioning for me.
So in that process, I want to be really clear, there's a human element to that. You're not leaving the use case decisioning up to AI. That's a curated process.
Most of that is actually human process, because that's, I think, where a lot of human specific, domain specific, highly institutional knowledge needs are, because you could probably try and create an agent that says like a use case prioritization agent, but the effort to try and train that agent would actually probably be the same effort that you would go through just to think through what are the priorities you want to figure out.
Cool, thanks for clarifying.
Yeah.
So now we've got all of our use cases. How do we use that to evaluate a project?
So we select the use case. Let's say we want to build this external facing chatbot where we can now interact. How do I know from a security perspective that chatbot is secure? How do I know it's performing at what I want it to perform like what are the metrics that I'm monitoring? How do I evaluate that it's actually providing value to my customers? And so that evaluation should actually happen at each use case, because all that work up front of prioritizing and figuring out the metrics you want to align to and the value it brings to the business and to your customers and to the world is actually not very useful if you don't have the metrics and monitoring in place to be able to evaluate, one, is this working the way it should? Two, can we improve it? And then three, how would we improve it? Last
question before we wrap it up here. Do you have any best practices or new tools that you're using that you could share with the ATO community?
So I'm a little biased. I definitely have been very inundated in just keeping up with just the Google tools that are happening. If you kept up with like just December, I was trying to keep up with the announcements that were happening. And I was getting pings from my friends around Google updates that were going on, because they're finding out about it before I'm finding out about it, because it's just too much to keep up with. But I use a ton of Gemini, just like standard, the Gemini.com. Also, there's an app now, which has been, I just moved into a new house, and that's been immensely useful, where I don't know how to fix something, and so I'll take a picture with it and say, what is this? How would I actually troubleshoot this thing? And it's been very helpful for me to just learn handy tasks without knowing handy tasks.
See, now I have something new. I can go try at home. I love it.
It's very useful. The other thing I would say, which is I haven't used it a lot, but it's really piqued my interest, has been the video models. VO2 specifically has been, I know it's not open to the public, but people have been posting the videos they've been creating on LinkedIn, and I've just been like if you see my LinkedIn posts, it's basically just been the past week has just been resharing other people's videos made with VO2 because of how that's what has blown my mind.
Perfect. Ben, you want to add anything else to the podcast today?
I want to give a shout out to the Raleigh Founded community. I didn't get to shout out them on my intro. I work for them as a advisor, kind of pro bono with them to help the startups in the Raleigh Founded community. So shout out to Raleigh Founded, and that's it.
Yeah, they're a great organization. We love them as well.
Yeah.
All right, Ben, thanks for your time today. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Jason. Appreciate it.
Thank you.